Happy Wine Wednesday, everyone. Oh, Holly's got wine. Oh my
I
gosh.
do. This is actually the one you left at my house, the Zinfandel, the one
Yep.
from Mendocino County that you found at the cheap store we have here, the discount store.
Yes. Yes.
Kelly had a good
Awesome.
day there. She found lots of good stuff.
Absolutely. So I will let you guys know right off the bat. Happy Wine Wednesday. Hope your tanks are doing fabulously. It is open chat, so anything that you want to ask about seahorses or want us to chat about, that's what we're here for. But I have been covering my boss's vacation this week and I'm exhausted and I don't feel good tonight. I'm so sorry that we're late, but I was like, I got to show up, right? I got to show up. And then I couldn't find my light, so that's why I look like I'm encased in darkness here. I'm sorry. But I'm here. I'm here for you. So if you do have seahorse conversation or questions, that's what we're here for. I will give updates on my tank too, but I just had to show up, but we'll probably make tonight a quick one. Um, the only other updates I need to share are, again, Holly and I decided on how the member shirts would look and would be. And so all I need to do is order them. I just need you guys to reach out and tell me your sizes. Maybe I'll do a post. And then people that are members can tell me what size they'd like to order. Because I don't want to just like order, well, I guess I could order a bunch, but I just want to make sure I get you guys your shirts. So if you see the post, please comment, message me, however you want to do it. Let me know the size you'd like so that I can get you a shirt. Um, yeah, I already told you all I feel like crap. But oh, the other thing with for tonight, I have Ray and Holly with me as usual. But I when I went to visit Holly, when I tried to get back on the plane, they took a bunch of things in my suitcase. So, like, we were smart enough to think, okay, I'm not going to be able to take this huge thing, or maybe not bottles of oils and stuff like that. But I thought I could get on a plane with mustard in my suitcase. No, no, no. You have to check any luggage that has any food item or wine or anything like that. So I lost a bunch of stuff at the airport, but I did leave a bunch of stuff behind for Holly to mail to me. And I just want to give you guys an idea. If you've never been to California, I already talked a few weeks ago about how amazing it is, but I just want you guys to see these pine cones, and I kept calling them acorns, and Holly would make fun of me. She'd be like, no, if there was an acorn that big, you'd be dead, right? If it hit you on the head. But she sent me these pine cones that we found together, and I wanted to show you guys just how big they are. Oh my God, she's good at packing a box, apparently.
That
I'm
box was
trying.
falling apart, so I had to tape it together.
I'm trying here. I'm trying to get it, guys. But I did want to show you. Go ahead and ask any questions about seahorses or whatever you want, guys, because again, we're gonna make tonight short. I've
I
got
hope
some
you have a
guests.
box cutter
Nope,
or
I'm gonna
strong
figure it out.
fingernails.
I already got it halfway. But I was
I
gonna
wrapped
say,
them in an old beer box from our local brewery,
yeah, I
and the
see that.
box was kind of falling apart, so I had to tape it together.
I already got it open, so I'm about to show
All
you
right.
guys. But I do see you Cora works, and I would say
I told you.
Jen usually
I know
comes
about it.
late because she knows that I'm late, right? Usually. Oh, and it's packed so well with some nice.
I
Oh, I'm gonna
have it
keep this,
watching.
Holly. For
She can Google it on Cal Fire or something. I have to watch TV. That's how I know ours.
all right, Holly's talking to the husband. Let me show you
It's not
guys these
in
pine
danger from
cones.
that fire. It's coming towards us.
So, apparently Holly's dealing with a fire. We'll hear about it in a minute.
Yeah.
But no joke. Look at this. Is that not insane? I mean, this is next to my head, right? In freaking sane. Huge. I can't believe they came in one piece too, Holly. This one's a little unhappy, but yeah.
You should
So
have got a
really,
closed up one so you could get the seed and grow your own.
I
Oh,
know.
geez.
Well, there's
I
there.
showed her the ones at the top of the tree. I'm like, you got to watch out for those ones. They're heavy, the ones that are green still. We had ones coming down in my yard because the Douglas squirrels trim them down when they're green. But I don't have that kind of tree in my yard. I have different kinds of pine trees. So the cones are only like this, not like 2 feet long.
Well, and Cora Works asked, those are sugar pine, right?
Yes, they're sugar pine cones.
Yeah. And she did tell me, like, go smell the tree. It smells like, what was it, vanilla?
Vanilla.
Or
Hmm.
yeah. So it was just a really cool experience. And
Why not
Cora
call
Works,
it
you
a
are
vanilla pine?
up. Who knows? But I got my pine cones, so that's cool. I'm not going to be growing any trees anytime soon, but it was just it's a really awesome way to remember and show everyone how awesome California is. So now that we've talked about how great it is, what's going on, Holly? Fires again?
Oh yeah, there's a fire in Upper Bidwell Park, which you kind of know my area a little bit now.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so if you remember the day we went in Chico, the city, they have a huge park on the outskirts, and that
Okay.
park stretches all the way up Highway 32. Remember the road we took to get to Lassen National Park? So that
Okay.
fire right now is in the upper part of the park. So it is kind of near that area. Well, it went
Okay.
from 40 to 500 acres in about an hour.
Oh.
It's roughly 6 miles from us, but it would have to travel across that highway, Highway 32,
Okay.
and through a canyon to get to us. It'd have to travel like northeast. Right now it's going north. And so I'm keeping an eye on it right now just because that fire I told you about that destroyed my town was a similar situation. It started kind of far away, but it moved so fast that it just took everything in its path. So while we were on, Scott's mom, who lives in Chico, called us worried about the fire, and she doesn't know what zone she lives in. So she was worried about being evacuated. And I had
Sure.
Scott tell her it's not actually near her, it's closer to us because it is Chico, but it's at the far end of Chico from her. So
Sure. Well, and I mean, it's just crazy how much you guys have to worry about
you have
fires.
to
Like,
pay attention.
yeah,
And just to show you,
I was gonna say nothing happened while I was there, but you did tell me you were gonna
you
show me
saw
the
a lot
app.
of the you saw a lot of the burned stuff though.
Yeah.
So right now, just if you could see on my phone, try to
I
get it.
can't.
It might be too bright.
Yeah, it
There
is.
we go. Okay, now. So you can see all the red little fires. Well, my
Yeah.
computer's getting rid of it. Okay, so that's California, and that's all the fires burning in California right now.
Yeah.
And
Crazy.
you can, well, maybe you can see. There we go. Before the computer corrects for it. So I have a blue dot. This app that I use, I have my address is in it, and it alerts me to I can choose which counties I want to see fires in, and it makes a chiming sound on my phone. It gives me an alert whenever there's a fire in any of the areas that I like to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it'll give me updates on those fires. And the
Sure.
app if anyone is interested in downloading it, it's called Watch Duty.
Mm-hmm.
And it's free. It goes on your phone. So anyone who lives in areas where there are fires, which right now is most of the Western United States, might want
Right.
to download that app, and you can customize it to areas where you or loved ones live so that you can keep an eye on things and know when there's
Sure.
fire and such. And it'll show you on that app also what zone you are in, so that when there's updates, like I get different stuff from Cal Fire, from Facebook, and everywhere has updates on zones, blah blah blah, need to evacuate, or they are under warning, or they're under, because there's different levels of evacuation, and
Sure.
your zone. That's a good thing, so you can be prepared. So
Well, and it's really interesting to me because again, I'm in Indiana, so we don't have fires, we don't have
that
these problems. But going to visit Holly really kind of clued me into how serious it is out there. Hey, I wanted to say real quick, Robert King was in the chat. I see you have to go, but as you guys see in the conversation, I'm gonna contact him, have him become a guest again, come back in, tell us what he's up to. Um, all of us still use the Robert King chambers in all of our tanks. It's in my Seahorse macro tank now, and so we'll have him back on. And we appreciate you coming, Robert, because I know you're so busy. But thank you for coming. Also saw Cora Works. Hello. And Cora Works wanted to know, Holly, did you introduce me to Miner's Lettuce? What's Miner's Lettuce?
no, and it's probably something we don't have here, my guess is,
Uh,
because he also mentioned wood sorrel. We don't have sorrel here because our climate's too dry. So let
oh,
me Google miner's lettuce and see if it's something I know, but maybe call it a different name, because
yeah, gotcha.
sometimes that's the way it is.
Gotcha. Um, yeah. And
That's the
I did
first
see
way.
Fish Fam Links also dropped in. Hey, everybody, if you are interested in seahorses, obviously that's what we're here to chat about. You just got to ask the questions so that we can chat about it. But if you're interested in saltwater, freshwater, anything aquatic, you need to go check out Fish Fam Links because they promote us, they promote all our channels so that you can find all the resources in one place. So make sure that you go check them out. And yeah, we're all wanting to know where Zen Ginger is. Where are you at, Zen? And where's your tank? Dang it. But
So that
in the
plant,
meantime,
I
go
think
ahead.
it lives closer to the coast. I'm in the
What,
eastern
Holly?
part. That plant, I think it's closer to the coast. I live on the
Ah,
eastern side of California, so too dry probably for it to be here. I think it lives
gotcha.
in the coastal range.
So Ray, did you have something you wanted to say?
Nope.
Okay, let's jump into seahorses and tanks. Because again, guys, we're going to make this a short episode. I just got so much on my plate right now, but I'm here for you. If you have questions, ask them. We will discuss them. If not, we'll be back next week, as always. And I am lining up some guests. But for now, is there anything new with you, Holly? Anything new with your tanks? Anything new with the
I
seahorses?
I found a birthday present for Sadie. Remember last week
Ah,
I said I
yeah,
forgot her birthday, and I felt bad because I was seeing in my memories of things I gave her for her birthday other years. And
yes.
so I thought, well, she loves bubbles, so maybe I can find some new kind of bubble thing for her. So I went on Amazon, one of my favorite places to find things for the seahorses, and I found a bubbling coral ornament that airstone fits inside of it, and it's got little coral fingers that bubbles come out of.
Oh, cool.
And so it's about 5 inches high. So it's the perfect size for her to hitch onto it and sit in the bubbles. So that's going to be arriving on Monday, Amazon says. So next week I can share that. And the
Awesome.
other update I have is it's been heck of hot here. And
Okay.
and so today was water change day, and the RODI water was too hot for me to use. It was
Oh,
78 degrees. And
God.
that's hotter than even my ice packs can cool it to a temperature where I want to use it.
Mm,
So I got creative. Because I do 2 tanks, 4 buckets each.
right.
So I took 4 of the buckets and I put them in the room with the swamp cooler. And it cooled them down within a couple hours. They were
Nice.
usable, like just below
Yes.
74, like 73 or so. So I went ahead and did the display tanks water change. And then this afternoon, I put the other 4 buckets in that room and I'm leaving them overnight so that they'll get cooled down and I can do the tiki tank water change tomorrow morning.
Gotcha.
It was 74 outside and 74 inside when I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning. And yeah, and well, I talked to Eric and in Chico, it was 80 something at 5 a.m.
Wow.
this morning.
At
So
5 a.m., I can't even imagine. See, and again, guys, if you haven't watched the past episodes, I loved the heat in California, but I also can see how dealing with it on a daily basis forever would be way more
but it's
intense and
not
way
always
more.
like that. We go through waves. Like what's interesting is coming up on Saturday, we're supposed to have a high of 80.
Hmm.
So it's going to drop again. But yeah, we get some extremes. And then in the winter, I'll drop down to the 20s. And like Cora Works was talking about, our altitude and stuff here. Well, I'm at 3,000 feet, but like I said, it's dry. And the
Hmm.
sorrel lives on the coast. I know what that is, but it needs damp conditions, cooler conditions, and we're very dry here. So anything, even high elevation, like if we go to Lassen National Park, which we did, which has elevations of 8,000 feet, it doesn't grow there either.
Yeah.
But it might grow right next to a creek or something, but most places are just too dry a climate, or our humidity's not high.
Right. Again, the reason that I love California now is because it's hot, but it's not sweaty
Yeah,
hot. It's not gross
yeah.
hot. I loved it.
And if you go
And
to
I
another
saw
part,
Zen.
it'll
Hi,
be
Zen.
different. Yeah, like Coral Work says, if you go over to the coast, it's a totally different climate. Or if you
Yeah.
go to the Bay Area, it's a totally different climate. Or you go to San Diego, we have everything here. But in my part of the state, it's very dry and it's very hot in the summer.
Hey, I wanted to say, Zen Ginger, we all do see you here. And when you joined, we had just got done discussing you. So we all miss you when you're not here. Don't think it's just Ray. We all miss you.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm gonna the only updates I have, seahorse wise, are I told you guys I felt like that male who was being shy,
Mhm.
standoffish. I totally just segued into seahorses. Sorry, guys. But I told you guys I don't feel very good tonight. But, anyways, this seahorse that's been shy, standoffish, is still acting the same way. But I've also noticed something Cheryl mentioned before where there's a specific female going to visit him and kind of hang out with him every morning. And
Mhm.
so I'm like, I'm feeling more and more like he's pregnant. Still time to tell. Time will tell, right? But I feel good about it. I won't even probably try to keep the first batch if he does give me fry,
Mhm.
because I'm gonna have to figure out timing and such. I remember when I had my breeders in the bigger tank, I had to figure out how to not have the fry go down down the plumbing to the sump and get end up in the sump. Now I it is an all-in-one where I have the male that I think is pregnant, but it still has the same situation where they could be swept into the sock or swept into the other side. And so I've got to kind of figure that out. Holly did send me a bunch of gear. She sent me brine shrimp, she sent me a bunch of enrichment, a bunch of cool things. Um so I really don't have an announcement at this point, but I have a good feeling, right? I
What's the
really feel
difference in the
like
post?
it's bigger.
No.
I'll try to go take a picture in a minute, but he's very reclusive now, Ray. Also, which makes me feel like, and there's nothing wrong with him. He's not turning dark. He comes out and eats like a champ, but he's not like picture happy like the rest of them. I know I don't post much on Facebook anymore, guys, but when I take pictures and videos all the time, and I walk up to that tank and they're like swarming me. He is not. Um, Time will tell. We're testing it out. The other thing I did want to announce too is that I made a mistake, and so I've always said we've got to admit our mistakes to help other people, right? We've got to say when we do something wrong to, so that you don't do it. So, in case you didn't notice by the pictures and videos that I was showing last week, I added the macros to the all in one tank. All right. I told you guys that there are certain macros that I will rinse, certain macros that I will dip. I usually quarantine macros. And I told Holly at the last minute, because I was going to visit her and because, things just haven't been going my way with the Seahorse tanks. I was like, I'm not setting up another tank. I'm just going to put the macros in this tank because it kind of is like a quarantine tank, right? There's no sand, there is rock, but it's rock that I've had forever and yada, yada, yada. I made the decision, right or wrong. So I will tell you guys, we're gonna do some posts and we're gonna have some talks because I explained a few weeks ago that there are certain macros you can't rinse, you can't dip, or they will die instantly. And those macros just got added to the tank. And guess what I have, Holly?
Hydroids.
Hydroids. I sure the hell do. Hydroids. So it is what it is. It's a very dangerous thing if you're dealing with dwarf seahorses. It's a very dangerous thing if you're dealing with fry, which I'm trying to deal with. So, not what I want in the tank, but there are ways to deal with it. I'm going to do some pictures, videos, and posts to show how I deal with it and let it be a lesson, right? I mean, we talk all the time about quarantining, about being safe with your tanks, about how to handle things. And when you make a choice like I did, that risk tolerance level, I decided I wanted the tank to be beautiful because I wasn't getting fry. And now I'm going to have to deal with hydroids. But Holly, have you ever had like a really, um, and they're not terrible. It's not like crazy all over the glass. It's just, I know they're there. And I
Mm-hmm.
am also wondering when Ray comes back, I want him to answer this too because we thought we had the whole, again guys, if you don't watch the previous episodes you're going to be like, what is she talking about? But if you do, you'll know we had an issue in my house where in this all-in-one tank I kept getting shocked in the water. I went through all these different trials and tribulations and figured out that it was a pump. Okay, replaced the pump. And then while I was at Holly's on vacation, my daughter was like, how come I'm getting a little like shock when I touch the water? And I was like, oh my God, are you serious right now? I can't go through this again. But
Mhm.
when I got home and tested it, I really think it's the hydroids. So, Holly, have you ever had a
Oh,
tank that had hydroids that you touched the water and you felt shocked?
no.
No?
I've never had hydroids with the big seahorses. The only time that I ever had hydroids was when I had dwarves. And
Okay.
they came with Callirpa and
Yep. Yep.
some other critters and things, and they came with hydroids,
Yep.
and they didn't last long. They only lasted a couple weeks, and yeah, I lost them all to the hydroids within a couple weeks. So I don't have much experience with hydroids. I At the
Right.
time I didn't even know what they were until I kind of looked it up. I'm like, oh, great. And then by then, of course, it was too late. But yeah, so I don't know that much about them.
So again, guys, I'm gonna share this experience with you because I made a bad choice, added everything, wanted to go on vacation. That was more important. Added it. Now I've got hydroids. Again, like Holly just described, if you're talking about small dwarf seahorses or fry, these hydroids can be deadly, as she just described. But with the bigger seahorses, not so much. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not good. Nobody wants hydroids in a seahorse tank, but like, I'm not freaking out and,
Not gonna kill them.
right, right. Um, excuse me. Ray, since you're back, I'm just curious. Have you ever had hydroids in any tanks?
No, just in
No.
the brine shrimp culture once, and all I did
Okay.
was nuke the culture and start it over again.
Right. So again, if you don't know what hydroids are, they start off as and I'm guys, look it up, okay? Because I'm not scientific,
There's
but
different kinds too, with different
there
appearance.
are there are different kinds, and the kind that is currently in my tank they're in the life phase where they're free floating. So I'll see a little squiggle and then they get on the glass and it look like a little star on the glass, right?
They look like a little splat.
Yeah, they look like a
Like
little
something
splat. That's a
clear
good way
with
to describe it. I really will post a picture, or I'll try to get a picture before we end the live stream. But, anyways, they're not everywhere, but they can be, right? And again, guys, I want fry. So, this is not a good thing. So, I am going to treat the tank and get rid of the hydroids, and I
But you're not
will
going to have the
share.
fry in that tank anyway.
No, I know, but I don't want any of the fry killed to begin with, right? I mean, like, if I'm not here, if whatever, I don't want to even, I just want to get rid of them. They're
Well,
not
you don't
cool.
want them anyway, yeah. So
Yeah, yeah.
whether
You're
They're
they're
going
just,
to use
they're a
Panicer.
pest. That's, yes, I'm going to use panicure, however you say it. And I'm going to actually videotape it and share it so that someone else can see how to do it, see how it works, all that good stuff. But anyways, that's my update. I really don't have an update except for I made a very bad choice and now I'm dealing with it. But I will share how to fix it and hopefully that will help someone else. Um, Young Erector said, "How do you know if your fry are doing well?" He's currently golfing, so can't respond. But I remember Younga. And how do you determine if your fry are doing well, Ray? Because I hope to have some fry soon. Hopefully, I'll get rid of the hydroids, but I hope to have fry. So, what are
I
your
guess
like?
it's just experience.
Yeah, but
If you lose some batches, you get used to what they're looking like just before you lose them. Uh, and if they don't get that way, they're okay.
I
right,
was gonna
right.
say not dying is a good thing.
Not dying is a good thing. But what I'm asking is, are there significant life stages? Meaning, so if the because they all come out looking like little teeny
They look
tiny
like a
things, right?
string with a head, and you want them to fatten up and start getting seahorse shape.
Yes,
So
because
that's
they
one
they
thing to you watch. You want them to be eating and getting fatter when they eat, like they turn red inside. Like if you hold a light to them, they glow red when they're eating well. You can see through them and they're red. And that's kind of cool. So that's one thing you can look for.
well, so and I was looking more for based on his question, like dates. So one of the things that I did wrong the first time that I had seahorse fry is I didn't even try to wean them onto frozen food until they were like, oh my gosh, like 2 or 3 months old. And when I
Mm,
met Dan and Dan started helping me, he said, "Oh no, you wean your fry onto frozen food at like 4 weeks old, right?
mhm.
4 to 6 weeks." So there's things like that. I was just looking for Ray or Holly if you have any like dates. Like, okay, so if
No,
your seahorses aren't fattening up by this
it can
time,
change from same parents, and it can change from batch to batch.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
even
like I
have,
said, my main thing is, are they not dying if they're they're doing well? If
Right,
they're
right.
dropping, if you're losing them every day, you're losing a few. What's going on? I watch for them to hitch like they should start hitching. Like if they're rectus, they start
It
hitching
does
every
depend on the
month
species,
within a
guys.
year or two.
Yeah,
So if it's a
yeah.
rectus, and I noticed as my batches got better, as Sandy started having more viable fry, they started hitching sooner. Like the batch that Sadie was in, they did not hitch the first day or two. And I think one of them hitched, and it was probably Sadie, with knowing how big and strong she is. She was the first one to hitch, I'll bet you anything, because I noticed one would hitch, but the
Hmm.
rest were still, free swimming around. And then gradually they started hitching. So that was one thing I noticed. My later
See,
batches,
wait, wait,
I
wait. Hang on. Before you
away,
move
they
on,
looked
that's
better.
hang on. Before you move on, just because that's really interesting to me, because every single batch of Erectus fry I've ever
Mhm.
had hits from birth instantly.
Not mine.
Really? That's
Only the
really
later
interesting.
ones, not the first batch, which I lost all of them because I did not have any food hatched. I didn't have food ready.
Sure.
None of them made it. None of them hitched. And I lost them all within about, I'd say, 2 days.
But was it because they
And
didn't have anything to hitch to?
no, they
Or
had staff. I gave them, they had hitches.
really?
Now, and you saw, I showed you the videos, I think, of baby Sadie and her siblings.
Yeah.
Last
Yeah.
week we were watching that. So, yeah, I had that fan thing and I had gutter guard for them.
Yeah.
They didn't start hitching right away. I'd say within about a day to two
Hmm.
days. Now, my
Interesting.
later batches, the last batch that I raised, that where I had the most survivors, they all pretty much started hitching on the first day.
Right.
That's
Okay.
just something I noticed with I only ever had one male that had babies. So there were a total of 5 batches that I went through of seeing
Hmm.
how they developed. So
Sure.
that's what I noticed. And you can tell, like I said, if they're looking, the more they look like a real seahorse and not
Yeah.
like a string with a head, the
Yeah. String with
better
the
they're
head.
doing.
I like her definition, but no, I actually agree 100%. She hit the nails on the head there. Number one, are they starting to fill out and look like a seahorse? But Ray, I feel like they don't start doing that until they're weaned onto frozen food. Would you agree?
again, that's a batch to batch. I've seen some start filling out within a week and a half, 10 days,
Really? Wow.
and I've seen others that especially with the reedi,
Okay.
they took a lot longer to start filling out. Well, they're so small to begin with.
Sure.
Uh,
Mhm.
and some of the types of CUDA, uh, as you know, CUDA encompasses quite a few different seahorses, but and
Sure.
some of those have fry about the same size as erectus, and a lot of them have fry more like the reedi do.
Sure.
Uh,
And Ray made a great point. It does absolutely depend on the species. If you're talking red eye, you're going to
but,
get a lot smaller fry, and they don't hitch right away. So they
but so many
have to have
things
free swimming
also,
food.
like with the erectus, when she's talking about not hitching, I didn't have batches that didn't hitch, but I had individuals that didn't
Mm,
appear to hitch. But then again, I didn't know whether it was by choice or they just, how do I say it? Like with the reed eye, they're not orientated to hitching. And with the
right.
erectus, when I saw had some of the rectus fry not hitching, I just figured it was just their choice not to do it. It wasn't a
Sure.
case of they couldn't do it or like the reed
But
eye.
then, but so you said they can fill out at different rates, and I totally agree. But you do notice a tremendous difference when they do wean onto frozen foods, right? All of a sudden,
They'll
they
start
start
growing
getting
faster.
bodies. What?
They
Mhm.
grow faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, they grow faster,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, these little string beans or whatever Holly said,
Yes.
they
We'll
all of a sudden
string
have
it in.
bodies, and they start
Mhm.
getting like looking fat and start filling out and taking the shape of a seahorse. So I would say that. But again,
Oh,
Younga,
another thing I just thought of too,
yeah,
off the top of my head,
go ahead.
you want to watch for them. Make sure they're not scratching themselves with their
Okay.
tails. This is one thing you'll see fry doing is they take their tail and scratch their face, kind of like a dog scratching fleas, and that's a sign that you have ciliates that are bothering.
Okay. And what happens if you have ciliates? Why is that bad? What do you do?
Then you break out the formalin, and yeah, so
You can do a bath or just or long-term treatment. I preferred the bath method myself.
Tell us the difference between bath and long term, Ray.
Bath is just short-term. It's a higher concentration, and don't ask me now to remember what the concentrations are.
yeah, I have it
It,
written down somewhere
that's a
here.
long time ago. And when you got MCI, you don't remember things you want to remember, let alone things you don't need to.
Sure, sure.
I
But
believe it's
no,
1 milliliter for 10 gallons. Something like it's a
No,
very
that's not.
small amount.
That's for the long-term treatment. That's not for
Okay.
the bath, like when you're going to put them in for an hour.
All right. Yeah, that's what I was using for the fry, though, I think, was the
so
one.
and that's a really good point though, is because Dan and many of the commercial breeders use formalin right off the bat. Like they don't wait for their seahorses to scratch. They
It's
treat
1
fry.
milliliter to a gallon for 45 minutes if you're doing a short term. And long term is 1 milliliter to 10 gallons of water every other day for 3 days or three treatments, I mean. And that's how I did the fry. And I would do them immediately when they were born. I put them through a treatment on my later
Yeah,
batches because I learned in my first batches they were going to have ciliates. So
right.
I started using prevention instead of just treating because it worked. So the day they were born in their 10-gallon tank, which is how I kept my babies, I'd put the milliliter of formalin, mix it with the 10 gallons of water, and then the next day skip. The next day another 10 gallons with 1 milliliter, skip a day, another 10 gallons with 1 milliliter of formalin. And after the third treatment, you should
And
be all.
guys, so I want to say this information is available in Seahorse Sources group and will be available in Seahorse Whisperer group on Facebook and eventually on the website. Or if you need it more immediately, contact me. We can absolutely give you this information. But it's interesting because formalin, people are afraid of it, especially reef keepers, whereas when you're dealing with seahorses, it's a common thing, right? Like
Mhm.
any commercial breeder, and I'm curious, Younga, if you're using formalin on your batches because yeah,
Mhm.
ciliates are ever present. I saw
They're
your
just
question,
there.
what causes ciliates? So they're in your tank period. Um, it's about controlling organics so
Mhm.
that they don't get out of
An
control
explosive
and
population. Yeah.
mess up the seahorses. So treating fry is, again, just like I said earlier, I've got hydroids in this tank and I don't really care because they're not good. I want to get rid of them, but I'm not in immediate danger that my adult big seahorses are going to die or be harmed by hydroids. But if they have fry, you got to think that little teeny fry with a hydroid
Mhm.
this big,
Yeah.
or dwarfs, they can kill them, right? They
Mhm.
can, just like Aptasia, it's the same thing. All these pests are livable when you have adults, not good, never good, but livable when you have adult, larger species seahorses. If you have dwarfs or fry, it can be deadly. Um, so I would say I like everything that they have said. Um, Watching if they fill out. Just going back to your question, sorry, about how to tell if you're doing well with fry. As Holly said, if they're living, if you
It's
have,
a good sign.
if you have, I remember Dan saying that he always expected an 80% success rate.
Mhm.
So if he had 100 fry, he expected 80 to live, right?
Mhm.
Holly and I were hobbyist breeders. I don't
If
know
I
about
have
Ray, but
some, I'm good.
yeah.
I hope
Right.
someone makes it.
My first batch, I had one live, little Cheryl. My second batch, I think I had 5 live.
Mhm.
Then I got to the point where I was having too many live and I couldn't house them all, and it got crazy. But we'll see how this time around goes, right? Hoping for the best.
Mhm.
But I want to know how your fry are doing. I really hope that Shyla, I don't think she's here tonight, but I hope she watches this later and reaches out because I want to know how her adolescents are doing too, because she's
She
doing some
has 8.
amazing
She was
things.
posting earlier on our
Yeah,
Facebook, so and they
that's
look
awesome.
really good. She's got
That's
8 right
awesome.
now, and they all look really good. They just reached 5 months old, and they look like healthy little full-grown seahorses.
That's
They're
awesome.
yeah.
And once they bulk up and look like seahorses, oh, they're just so cool. Ray,
Yeah,
what's
they're
this
just
link you're sharing?
adorable.
That link is the medicines information
Okay.
from seahorse.org. Uh,
Okay.
a lot of people were unable to get on the org. I think unless you or when you first went to the org, you had to be a member to be able to get
Yeah,
any
the org is
information
a pain
from
in
it.
the butt. Yes,
And
yes.
so that was a medicine list that Ann put on many years ago, and I put it on my website so that people could access it a lot easier because my website's always available.
Gotcha. And I can't
And
find
the
where I just shared
formalin
the
is
link.
in there, the
Where it is.
short and long term, and there's complete description on how to do it.
There we go. I think it just shared now, and I need to get a post up. But it yeah, there you go. Ray shared the link. Perfect. Um, but yeah, I can't think how else to answer the question because it really does depend on the batch, how many batches the male has had, or the pair has had. um, the way
If
you
they
can
have
tell
too
if you're
many batches in a
successful.
row, the success rate goes down because
What'd you
they're
say?
not, if the male has too many batches too quickly, all in a
Yeah.
row, then the latter batches become less viable.
But I would say I understand you're correct, but I would also say I wouldn't agree when they're brand new, like it's their first batches, because I always try to warn people, if you want fry and your seahorses pair up and they give you fry, don't expect much from that first batch, because the parents both have to learn how to provide nutrients to first the egg, then the fry, and then you have to learn how to take care of those fry. So first batches are never a good thing.
Well,
But
you have to
as
learn,
they
first of all, how to make sure that the adults get the proper nutrition, because
true,
most people getting into the hobby, they don't know all the things that you need to do. It's something that they have to learn first. And
sure,
until they learn that, they're not going to be able to do proper for the adults there to get the viable fry for their first batches.
sure. And if you're talking about becoming a hobbyist breeder like Holly or I, like I don't I'll give enriched snacks to my seahorses now and then, but I'm not a commercial breeder who is constantly enriching food for the pairs that I'm breeding, right? That's not, like, I don't do that on a commercial level. Younga, get with me on the side. Like I've always told you, I can hook you up with people that can help you um, figure out if you want to expand and go to the next level. For a hobbyist breeder, I would say, again, like we've said already, if they're surviving, you're doing well. If they're filling out and weaning onto frozen foods, you're doing well. If you're using enrichment, you're doing well. I can't really think of anything else, you guys. Anything else on that?
Not
All right.
really.
All right. And just to go back to the ciliates real quick, because I think I kind of bypassed it. Again, there are things in our tanks that are just ever present, like they're going to be there. And so Ray has hounded, and we've all, really talked endlessly about organics and how there's no test for organics, which really sucks. We've tried to come up with solutions and we haven't gotten there yet. But the bottom line is, the more, the cleaner the water, the less problems, right? I mean, that's basic and ridiculous, and just everybody knows that. But the cleaner the water, the more the water changes, the more that you're removing things like these ever present ciliates or ever present bad bacteria and etc. that can affect the seahorses. So the cleaner you make the water, the more water changes you do, or the better equipment you have to run the tank, the the more successful you'll be. And again, you can't ever just like get rid of ciliates completely, but you can make it to where it doesn't really affect them, if that makes sense.
It's
I
probably,
hope it.
it would have been better if he'd said what causes the ciliates to um, become a problem, because as you said,
Okay.
ciliates are always there. It's like bacteria is always there. You're never
Right.
ever going to get rid of the bacteria. The
Right.
problem only occurs with ciliates and other parasitic things, and the bacteria only going to happen when they start getting their population explosions. The things that create those population explosions are dirty water, and
Yep.
specifically, we've kind of tied it down now in the last decade to either the dissolved organics or something that also becomes excessive when DO becomes excessive. We can't say absolutely for sure it's the DO, but we can say that when the DO levels get up, then we have the problems. Now,
Yep.
it could be something else that we don't know, that's causing it, but it's synonymous with the rising levels of DO. Randy Holmes
Gotcha.
Farley doesn't think that it's the actual DO. It has to be something probably that's related to it.
But he's way more advanced and scientific than we'll ever be. So
That's
we'll leave him
that's
to
an
that. We'll just
understatement.
say that large amounts of DO affect it. So real quick side question for people like Zen Ginger who are like, I don't ever want fry. That's not my goal. I just want to keep healthy seahorses. So how would you guys what definite or how would you describe a healthy adult, not fry, adult seahorse tank? Like if someone said to you, how can I tell if my seahorses are happy and healthy? What would your description include?
Well, the first thing you want it to be rounded, not flat sides or concave sides. You want it to be convex. And
Wait, what? The seahorses?
the seahorse themselves, their body. You
Okay.
want the
And
sides of that to be uh, you want to be fat and sticking out. You don't want a straight-sided seahorse, or
so
worse.
what you're saying is if you're looking straight at a seahorse, you don't want to see their sides go in. You want to see
Right.
them curve out.
You
Okay,
don't
go
want to
on.
see it even straight, like flat.
Go on.
Now, the other problem is too many people try to give you a description of how they should act. But the problem there is each seahorse is its own individual, and seahorses tend not to be, you don't have the whole tank of them acting the same way when they're in the same condition. Each
Oh
one
my
has their
gosh,
own.
I bet Holly agrees with that 100%. She has seahorses that like to crawl. And it's okay. Go ahead, Ray. Sorry. Go ahead, Ray.
So it's a little harder when you're getting down to trying to pin it down for the way they're acting in the tank. Um, you don't want them sitting around at the top of the tank all the time, uh, gasping for air at the top of the surface. But you don't want them just uh, sulking in the bottom, hiding somewhere, unless they're actually pregnant. Um, but there's so many various degrees of how each one pursues its own activity. It's hard to tell someone, just what to look for in their own seahorse.
Sure.
I'd
And
never be able to tell someone.
what's really interesting to me too is that I mean, people like Holly and I that have kept seahorses for quite a while will still be like to each other and to maybe Dan, to Ray, to Cheryl, to the group. That's why we have this community. Is I still to this day will be like, hey, does this
Is
look
this
like
normal?
marking or a problem? Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had so many seahorses, but is this okay? I mean, we still question each other,
Mhm.
not question each other, ask each other questions because they are so unique, right? Their personalities are so
Yeah.
different.
And you
But
don't see them everywhere. Like you're used to seeing certain fish that are common aquarium fish. You see them everywhere. A lot of
right,
people have them, and not a lot of people keep seahorses. So a lot of the time, the only seahorses that we see in person are our own seahorses.
yep,
Like me, like I see pictures and videos, you guys as seahorses, but the only seahorses that I've actually seen in person are my own or else in a public aquarium. So it's not like I'm going over to a friend's house and checking out their seahorses and
right.
comparing them to mine. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
and when I went and checked out my friend's seahorses, I was like, "Holy crap, they're huge!" I couldn't tell by the videos. Like Holly's seahorse, Sadie is like bigger
Big,
than my head. I mean, she's
apparently.
huge.
Oh, she's not that
So
big.
she is too. She is
She's
bigger
a
than my
good 8 or
not
9
this way.
inches.
Not
Yeah.
this way, but this way.
She's
Tell her he's got
Anyways,
big eyes.
point being, I would just say that we provide a lot of information. I know I need to get the website done, guys. But even on Seahorse Sources group and on Seahorse Whisperer group, you can find that information. Just start off the right way, care about organics, and your adult seahorses will do well. So, like, we sometimes get into these discussions about fry because that's what I'm focused in on. But people like Zen, I don't want you to ever be like, oh my gosh, they're talking about all this crazy stuff, and I don't want to have to do all that, so I don't want to keep seahorses. No, you don't have to do any of that.
Mhm.
I'm not worried about the hydroids in my tank. I'm going to deal with it because it's just not a good thing. But it's not like I have to freak out and,
Mhm.
tear down
Yeah.
the tank and none of
The
that because I don't
seahorses are not in
have.
danger.
Yeah, right. So just saying, they're not as hard as people think. And their personalities are so amazing. And I would say we pretty much covered it. But for an adult seahorse tank, I would say, again, as Ray said, no concave sides. So no sides that curve in. Um, no hiding unless they're pregnant. Um, and the eating. That's my key. I don't really worry if any of my seahorses are moody or, whatever is going on
Mhm.
with them. I don't worry until they stop eating. And I
Mhm.
don't really worry until they stop eating for days. Then I'm
Yeah.
like,
They'll miss
okay,
a meal sometimes now and then. Somebody will miss a
yeah,
meal for some reason.
yeah,
Especially, I've noticed, like, if they're trying to breed, they don't
yep.
want to eat. That's the only thing they want to do, and that can last sometimes a few days. In my
You
experience,
walk up to the
like
tank and
three
they're doing it.
days.
You walk up to a tank and they're doing the spin, or they're both bright white and they're like butting heads and such, and you
They're
try to
not going
throw
to want to
food
eat.
in, they don't want your
Care
food, they
about
don't
the
give a
food.
shit. Right. Right. So um good one, Ray, love it. And you would agree with that too, right, Ray? Like the big time, you don't people talk about seahorses all the time and worrying about them, but really you is when they stop eating when you actually worry.
Uh, I always worry when they stop eating, unless
Yeah,
I know the reason for it. For instance, if a male becomes pregnant and that male exhibits that habit in prior pregnancies, then I don't worry about it.
sure.
But other than that, I worry when they stop eating.
And again, for anybody new, they I've had, again, we've said multiple times, different seahorses, different personalities, they all act different. I've had seahorses that I literally have them in the bag, they're attacking the bag, ready to get in the tank. They get in the tank, I can feed them immediately and they eat. Whereas I've had some, I remember the piebalgs were very shy. And when I put them, I temp acclimated them, I put them in their tank, and I tried to feed them hours later, and they were like, I don't know if I trust you yet, right? So they were eyeing the food. You could watch them watching it, but they wouldn't eat it. I didn't freak out because that's fine. They are just shy, right? So personality plays a big part. But I'm talking about, like, I'm just trying to relate young erector's
The
question about
situations, yeah.
the fry to adults. And if you have adults that you've kept for some considerable
Yeah.
amount of time, then the key to me, anyways, is if they stop eating. If they stop eating, that's when I worry. So
It's abnormal behavior to them. Like,
yeah,
you get to know your seahorses, so
yep,
you'll know when they're different than they normally are, when something's up. You'll start to get to know, and eating is a main one. Yeah, like if they usually, come and eat and they're excited about eating every single day at this certain time, and
yep,
then all of a sudden they don't want to eat and there's nothing else going on to make them feel like they don't want to eat, they might not be feeling good. Yeah, that why then
Right.
you look for other signs like signs of an infection or but yeah,
But
to know
also
what's
again,
normal for them.
if you're brand new to seahorses, don't
Mhm.
freak out the first time you do have a seahorse act moody, right?
Yeah,
Because
because
it
they
might
do.
just be that they're flirting and you don't see it, or it might just be that whatever's going on
Mhm.
and they're fine, right? So
Yeah.
I'm always really hesitant if someone comes to me and they're like, "Oh, I got these seahorses 2 weeks ago, and this is going on. Should I throw them in a hospital tank and medicate and all this?" I'm like, "Whoa, hold up, slow down.
Mhm.
Give me some pictures, videos. Let's talk more
Yeah.
because you
Kinda
don't
gotta
want to do
evaluate.
that. That'll stress them out more. And they're probably just being moody or flirting or whatever. Chances
Mhm.
are they're not like having the problem that you think. They're just very personable. They're like little puppies. I mean, they're very
Mhm.
friendly, they're very sociable with each other and with you, but also they get moody, right? That's why they're so amazing to keep. It's an amazing tank, but anyways, I'm rambling, I know, but they're just not as difficult as people think, and they do let you know if something's wrong, but they'll also let you know if they're just mad at you, and they're
Mhm.
just pissed off, right? So,
I figured
anyways,
if you've got seahorses and you've had them for a while, and you don't think something's, or you think that there's something probably wrong with seahorse, it's the old saying: "When in doubt, take it out. Put it in the
ah,
hospital tank,
Mhm.
change the water, and that way, if there definitely is something wrong, you got a head start on it. If nothing develops from it, uh, it'll be healthy enough to withstand that, and eventually you can put it back in again. But
so while I agree
I
with
used,
that,
I
though,
used to wait
but
too long in my early years, and
okay,
I would lose seahorses that if I'd started a day earlier, I probably could have saved them. So it got to the point. Now, if I got a batch of seahorses in and I'd only had them a few months, then I wouldn't react the same way because
hmm,
I haven't learned enough to be able to read that there is something definitely wrong at
sure,
that point. But if I've had
no,
them a
right.
year, even 6 months, then I've got enough history there to be able to get a feeling for things. And like I say, if in doubt at that point, take them out.
I absolutely 100% agree. Once you learn your seahorses and you know their behaviors and you know that they act this way when they're pregnant, so that's not a cause for concern. But then they do something different or they stop eating or something, then I absolutely agree with you, Ray. Don't wait, do it immediately. I'm just saying for the brand, you don't know how many brand new seahorse keepers that have had their seahorses for a couple days that are like, "Oh, I think something's wrong. Do I need to medicate?" I'm like, "Whoa, are they eating?" I mean, chill out for a minute because you got to get to know them, but I agree with you. Once you know, you know. I totally agree. Um, but Holly, were you gonna share something?
No, I'm communicating about the fire right now,
You're
so I'm
on the
kind of
fire.
back and
Gotcha.
forth.
Gotcha. So, guys, again, as I started this, I told you guys I'm not feeling great tonight. I am gonna make tonight shorter. Oh my God, it's 9:30. I don't know how to make it shorter. We just love talking, right? About seahorses and everything else. And I just love getting together with you guys. But if you have any particular or specific questions, ask them now. Because if not, I am gonna end it in a minute. And then we will be back next week. Again, as I said at the beginning, I want to get the member shirts to the members. So please contact me with your sizes. I will put up a post if you'd rather do it that way, but make sure I want us all to wear our shirts. to Wine Wednesday. I'm gonna make Ray get in a t-shirt, or we're gonna do him a specific button-up. We'll see, but we're gonna
I
get
have
ready.
a suggestion for the shirts, Kelly. I think
Okay.
you should make a post with the shirts on it, like a picture what it is, so people can
Mhm.
see the shape of it. That way they can pick their size better and know
Okay.
what size fits different sizes. Because I was
Okay.
trying on clothes today that I'd saved, because I've been losing weight.
Yes.
And I
She
had
looks
clothes of all
fabulous, you all.
thank you. I've had clothes of all different sizes fit me. So it kind of depends on the clothing manufacturer and the shape of the thing and all that. So it might help if people can see what it is and then figure out their
Okay.
correct from there.
Well, I
I'll
look
do a
at it, size
post.
doesn't matter because you'll never see me in it.
We will see him in it, you guys. Like
You
I
never
want
will.
to like we need to do a wager, right? We need to
I
do a
haven't had
betting
a
thing. No.
t-shirt on since I was a kid.
I'm gonna do you a button up, hush up. Anyways, point being, I just want to make it happen because I've told you guys for so long I want to follow through. So I'm gonna do a post both on YouTube and Facebook. Watch for it. It'll be this week, and just get back with me.
No, I
Right?
only wear button-up shirts.
We're gonna
Nothing
he's
clinging.
gonna wear something. Just wait. Just wait.
I'm too fat.
And Zen Ginger also said Holly's light keeps adjusting. She goes
Yeah,
from fully visible to witness protection.
right. Yeah, that's my computer for you.
No, well, and it's also the time of day and
Yeah, I don't have a
amazing
light.
California. Oh my God, I miss
I would have a
California so
light.
much.
It's what? It's 6:30 here right now. So we're
See,
in the evening, so sun's going down.
yeah, it is too. She tried to warn me. She gave me a flashlight when I was staying there. If I wanted to go outside for whatever reason, she was like, "No, Kelly, you don't understand. There's no streetlights. Like you think it gets dark. You can't. I'm telling you guys, I fell in a hole,
Where
okay?
I dump
Just
my
walking
salt water.
outside because there's no light anywhere. You can't
Dark
see
skies. You can
right
see
there.
the stars
Yeah.
here. We are in the
Well, that's even
wilderness.
worse.
Coral Works wants to see you in a fishnet tank top, Ray.
You won't see me in any shirt other than the type I have on right now.
Yes.
We
Oh.
should like do a GoFundMe or something. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh.
Um, but no, guys, just watch for the post. Oh, Shyla just came. Damn it. Shyla.
Yay. Maybe we can get a quick update.
Yeah, can we get a quick update? I was just saying I don't feel good tonight. I've had to cover my boss's vacation. My stomach is killing me. I was trying to make this a shorter episode, but we were talking about you earlier, of course, in good ways. And one of the questions we had was, how do you know if your fry are doing well? And we were kind of discussing that, and we just were hoping for an update on what's going on with your adolescents and just how you're doing and how your seahorses are doing. If you don't respond before I do end it, we'll come back to it next week. Promise. But yeah, we're all excited to hear how you're doing. Um, you're right. And I'm sorry, I'm reading the comments too. But and I forgot what I was gonna say now. I was gonna say Holly said something, but I can't even remember. Damn it. I'm reading the comments. But
I like Zan's.
So you're going to get Shyla to finish off explaining next week if she doesn't ask tonight.
what? What'd you say, Ray?
You were talking about Shyla and saying that if she didn't,
No. Right. I meant before that. I was saying something and then I saw Shyla. I was saying
oh,
something to Holly. Can't remember. Doesn't matter. Sorry guys, I'm just not doing very well tonight.
do a
But
playback.
what'd you say?
Do a playback.
A playback. There you go. That's the other thing. I actually was working on when I came home from my trip to California to visit Holly, I was working on trying to set up doing some shorts, right, for YouTube, for the other social medias, just to kind of show little pieces of what we talk about on One Wednesday. I know I tend to ramble, and I know we can get off on sidetracks and left field, but it doesn't matter. I can show that the little pieces of information that matter. I am working on it, guys. So just stick with me. Keep helping. Um, you don't do shorts anymore either, Ray. And when I say shorts, all you young people know I'm talking about the shorts on YouTube and the shorts on Snapchat and all the other places. But yeah, Ray, I actually got in some shorts in California, believe it or not, and I don't wear them much either. So
Yeah, but you're half
I'm
my
with you.
age.
Yeah,
I wore shorts
we'll
up
go
to
with
5 years
that.
ago too.
Nice, nice. And Shyla, that's what I was gonna say, is that Holly mentioned that you posted on the group. So guys, if you're not a member of Seahorse Whisperer group on Facebook, go get over there because you can see how Shyla's adolescents are doing. Um, 8 left is really good for starting out. Like, I understand if, commercial breeder only had 8 left, that would be like, ugh. But as I said earlier, my first batch that I really, really tried with, I had 1 survivor. Okay.
Oh,
The
sweet.
next one, I think I had 3. Then I got eventually to a point where I had so many that I couldn't keep up with them. But you're doing an amazing job having 8 going well. Um, and would love to hear your opinion on young erectors' question about how do you know if your fry are doing well or your adolescents. We kind of talked about it, but would love your opinion. And I would just say you're also dealing with a different species, right? You're dealing with whitey eye.
Hmm.
With me, it was erectus, whatnot. With Ray, it was reed eye. But be careful because the better you get at it, you're gonna have them all over the damn
Yeah, so maybe
house,
you don't know what to do with them. I see
right?
she says she's finally seeing them change color this month. That's,
Oh, how cool!
yeah.
That's really cool.
So they're starting to
So
practice.
you
You know what?
guys,
That is one of my favorite ages for seahorses because I remember when mine were about 5, 6, 7 months old, right in that range. They would practice. They changed colors all day long, depending on where they were hanging out. And one of my favorite things, favorite colors they did was they would hang out next to like the black, plastic like lock line or different tubing in the tank next to like airline tubing,
excuse me.
and they'd turn black with silver highlights.
Yep,
And
beautiful.
I used to tell Scott they were Raiders seahorses because he's always been a Raiders fan, in football. And
Yep,
and so I told him, look, honey, the seahorses are Raiders fans because they'd
there
be
you go.
silver, and it's because they had a black bubble wand that they liked to sit on.
Hmm.
So they were trying to match the black and the
Yep,
bubble color. And
yep.
they don't do that anymore. They,
See,
as they get older, they seem to figure out the
figure
range
out their
they
color.
want to
Yep.
be in, and they don't play around with color as much as when they're in that adolescent stage and they're learning. They start trying all these newfangled colors, and they can be pretty cool.
Yes, and like Siri too. Like they'll grow
Yeah,
Siri
and
and
they
then
get the
it'll just
Siri, like the seahorse that's on you, the little yellow guy up in the
yeah,
corner.
yeah, him right there. That's the
Yeah,
Siri
I
guys,
had
the little hairs.
seahorses with Siri, and they get all bright and pretty. And yeah, they gradually lose the Siri, and then mine still get bright colors. Sometimes they'll go to
I
yellow
saw him. Yep.
or white, but not as extreme or experimental
Right.
as when they're young like that.
Well, and I've had actual batches. Like I really will try to post all the pictures. I'm promising,
Mhm.
guys. but I've had batches that were certain colors, like not colors. They don't come out yellow. None of them do. But I'm saying like they'd be within 4 to 8 weeks. They'd be. I had a one batch that was like silver and black,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Holly's talking about,
Hmm.
and I've had them. Yeah, so just really cool stuff. I do want to say too that Ray said, Coro, he wants to see what you'll be wearing when you're 80. I would say be careful, Ray, because Coro Works will be wearing fishnet at 80. He'll be like sporting and looking good.
Well,
But
not all of us are blessed with keeping the body through all their years. Most of
man,
us,
I'm right there with you.
there's a severe deterioration.
So with you. But
Well, mine wasn't good to start with. Now it's just a lot worse.
right. Well, CoraWorks said it'll all be digital clothes and we'll walk around in QR codes or something goofy. Right? Scary, but right. Hey, after I don't know. I mean, I was told it was impact. The whole world was impacted, but were you guys all impacted by the Microsoft stuff?
Not me.
No. Oh, I thought it was all over.
When
So
was it? Maybe I was busy and not using the computer. I think I read about the aftermath of it. When did this happen?
so last week, like at least around me in the US, around me, all the airports went down. Credit, you couldn't use credit cards at any gas station at any place
Oh,
because
well.
anything that was run by Microsoft went down. And it was really scary. It
Was
was
this
scary
while you
just
were here or right
Only
after?
the
no, no,
stuff
no.
was only
This was this
Microsoft
past
stuff
week.
that was uh, under the that had their programming done by one specific company.
Okay. Like
They put
Swift
through
or
an update
something.
to all their clients. So it was
Yes.
all their clients involved, which was most of the airlines and a lot of banks, but not all banks.
Mm.
Uh, and even,
Hospitals. Yep.
well, some hospitals, yes, and then others, no. Because,
No,
like
no,
Yeah,
around
no.
here,
You're right, Ray. You're right, Ray. But the thing was, nobody knew that at the time. They didn't come out and immediately say, it's
this
this
was the
one
problem.
company. It was just like nothing works. And it was terrifying, like to realize how dependent we are on technology. I
our
mean,
news here said that it was that crowd, whatever name
I
company.
think
Crowd
it's,
strike, Zen says.
yeah, something. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, our local
Yeah.
news stating that, and they were saying that our particular hospitals here in London, we got four of them, and they weren't affected, but Toronto had some hospitals that were affected and others that weren't.
And I get it. It's just really scary that an update could do that, and it's even more scary that worse could happen. We're just so dependent on technology that it's like, I mean,
Yep.
there's no answer. I have nothing to say about it because there's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
It's where we're at, but it
Yeah.
was just scary. It was just scary.
Well, where
So
I'm at, our internet's pretty intermittent anyway. So
right.
I
I
was
know. I
telling
know
Kelly,
that.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
telling Kelly, it's really slow to upload anything here. By we're at the lake, and I saw all the bars on my phone. I said, Kelly, if you want to download any pictures or anything right now, now is the time to do it because we have
Right.
full signal.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad it was because the first thing I heard was, oh my gosh, it was a terrorist thing or whatever. I'm so glad it wasn't. And I just know that that's one of the reasons that I've been so stressed this week is my boss is on vacation and everything went down. Like we couldn't take cards, we couldn't do our reports. Oh, it's just been a week, y'all. I'm just telling you, it's been a week. But that being said, glad it's all fixed up. It is just scary that we're so dependent, but nothing we can do about it. So we won't dive deep into that right now. So,
I think there's going to be
anyways,
worse coming.
What?
There'll be much worse coming some point.
I know, and I don't want to think about it. That's why I'm gonna zip it and stop talking about it. But guys, I hope. I mean, I'm here every week to have fun with you guys. If you have questions that I didn't answer or we didn't answer, ask them in the comments. I always read the comments. We could talk about it next week. I am going to cut it for tonight. I said I was going to do it early, and it's already almost 10. But I'm exhausted, so I'm going to cut it. But we'll be back next week. If there's guests you want to see, let me know. Watch for the post about shirt sizes so that I can get you your shirts. And I think that's all I got for tonight. Anything else? And I'll let you guys know. I'm gonna try to follow through on all the posts that I said I would post. But I will also let you know next week what's going on with my seahorses. If this guy is just a moody little, or he's pregnant. Cross your fingers for me. But anything else from you guys tonight?
Nope.
I know Holly's got to worry about the fire, and Ray's like,
Yeah, I'm watching
done.
it spread. It's now 1,500 acres.
ugh. That
From
is one thing,
1,000 to
guys.
1,500 in the time that you've been talking.
Jesus. And I would say too, guys, that I experienced the absolute beauty of California, the absolute awesome weather. That's what I would call it. Holly said it was too hot. I loved it. But I also got to drive through the town that was completely devastated by this fire. And, I'm totally on board for any, restoration projects or anything like that, because it's really awful to see the devastation. So, but all right. Shyla, I'm sorry that we didn't get you till the last minute. We got to get you in here as a guest too. You guys saw Robert King joined earlier. We got to talk more about the char chambers. Sorry, just not tonight. But I'm going to contact him. We'll get him in here to talk to us some more about what he's got going on lately. And Shyla, we'd love to have you in here to let us know what's going on with you. But for tonight, guys, I am going to call it. Love y'all, but we'll see you next week. Everybody say Happy Wine Wednesday.
Happy Wine Wednesday.